get going. Okay. All right. All right, great. Thank you everyone for joining. We have a lovely session for you today, quite an interactive one coming up. So I hope you are all concentrating and ready to take action. So there'll be a whole lot of stuff going on with breakout rooms and little sessions and worksheets that you have to work through. It's a very interactive session today, and very excited about that. So we'll be working you through it. Today we have Zaki Rahim, who has joined us. He is enterprise development and entrepreneurship professional. He comes with 20 years in micro and small enterprise development, value chain and market system development, financial inclusion and entrepreneurial ecosystem development. So a great person to take us through stuff today. He's worked all across the globe in Africa, Asia, Middle East, Latin America, and the Caribbean. So yeah, a huge amount of work across the world. He comes to us today. He's currently a director at DIAI Sustainable Business Group. So he's supporting all kinds of projects with USAID, FCDO, World Bank, etc. So an exciting person to have on the program today. And he'll take us through the program. So thank you very much, Zaki, for joining us today. I'll hand over to you and you can share your screen and start from that. But just to finish off and say, yeah, this is a very interactive session. So once Zaki has started his presentation, I will be opening it up and we'll be able to ask questions and put your video cameras on. We want to see your faces. We want to see you getting involved. So don't be shy. I know it's Friday afternoon and everyone's finishing off their week, but please, let's make it an exciting session and get everyone involved. Thank you, Zaki. I'll hand over to you.
Thanks, Rex. To confirm, can you all hear me? A thumbs up if you can hear me. Yes, all right. I love doing in-person sessions. I was recently in Uganda. I think a few colleagues here may be from Uganda, but I am back in Washington, D.C., so it is a bit early morning here, so I will be having my iced coffee as we're going through the day. I hope this is an interactive session. I love chatting with, working with, supporting managing directors and staff at entrepreneur support organizations around the world, and so I'm really looking forward to this session. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen. We're going to hope the technology is working. Let's see here. And also thumbs up, Rex, the screen is working. You all can see? Great. So for today's session, we are talking about building sustainable ESOs, which I'm sure is something that is top of mind for so many of you all on this call. I've had a chance to look through quite a few of your websites and to get a sense a little bit of the types of entrepreneurs you support and sort of the size of your organizations, and hopefully have some understanding of sort of where you are in your growth. But I really want to learn from you all how you're thinking about what it means to build a sustainable, financially viable, and successful ESO in the coming years. For the focus of this discussion, we are going to be talking about how do ESOs in Africa explore partnerships with corporates. And when we say corporates, we may mean larger multinational corporations or local larger companies that are seeking to work with entrepreneurs to bring innovation into their to their business for some reasons. And we're going to look at a number of different ways and learning from that. We're also going to do a bit of a breakout session in small groups to do a bit of a share out and hopefully make this a bit of a real exercise that you all can bring back to your own organizations if exploring partnerships with corporates is something that may be part of your own growth strategy. And then two other topics we may touch on, which are we're seeing more and more as sort of hot topics for ESO management throughout the region, are on looking at alumni networks and what we're calling founder wellness. So that's the next couple hours. Briefly, as Rex mentioned, so you all get to know me. My journey here. My mother is from Denmark. My father is from Sri Lanka, and I grew up in New York. But I began my studies actually in Kenya at the University of Nairobi, and have been living first in East Africa for quite a number of years. And also a lot of my work now is both in West Africa, Senegal, Mauritania, Ghana, but back and forth between some projects in Uganda, Ethiopia, Somaliland, Rwanda, and the last few years, a little bit of work in Namibia, Zambia, and South Africa. A lot of it is a mix of working with SMEs in the donor space with USAID and World Bank and some other funded programs. And then quite a lot the last 5 years has been with corporates and corporate foundations that are designing entrepreneur and innovation programs. So that might be a corporate launching a new corporate funded accelerator program that might be more from their CSR arm, or a corporate accelerator that is indeed funded through their commercial arm that is investing in local entrepreneurs and startups for a variety of commercial reasons. So you can see here a few of the types of projects I've had a chance to work with in the energy sector, agribusiness, financial services, and more recently with some of the larger fast-moving good companies. So that's a bit about me. So we're going to dive in now and actually, we're going to actually jump to a Google Doc and ask you all a question around corporates that is going to guide the next hour or so of discussion. Has to work with in the. Oh, I just. Are we okay? I just heard a voice coming through.
All good, all good. Carry on.
All good. Fantastic. So here's the question that we want to do a prompt. We're going to send you this link here, and we're going to ask you all to switch over to it. And the question here is, in your experience, what are the biggest challenges for ESOs to form meaningful partnerships with corporates in Africa? Some of you all may have already been working with corporates. Some of you all may be looking at or trying to receive funding from a corporate foundation. Some of you all may have heard of other ESOs in your ecosystem or in a neighboring ecosystem that has found really strategic ways to partner with corporates. And you're wondering how and why. And so we want you all to jot down a little bit of some of your ideas to start the triggering that's going to go through a bit more of the materials. So let me add this link here to the Zoom call. And I can ask if everyone could go on to that link. And now I've got, that didn't seem to come through. Let's try that again. Does that work? Let's see if this one works. We hope this is available. And so what we're asking here is for you to take a couple minutes and just jot down when you think about trying to partner with a corporate. And whatever partner means, there's many different ways to partner with a corporate. That's kind of the focus of this discussion. So it is an open but anonymous Google Doc. So we ask you to take a couple minutes and just jot down a few ideas. If the first page is filling up, there is another slide just down from here you can jump to. We'll do one more minute. This is some great brainstorming. Thank you all. Okay, great. Thank you all for doing that. I want to pause here and let you all also take a few seconds and just read what your colleagues have written here, because I think there's similarities that are really important to unpack. Because if we believe that ESOs need to diversify funding, then part of the goal for this session is indeed to explore what does it mean to actually funding and other types of partnerships with corporates. But there's a lot of challenges, and there's a lot of fears, and there's a lot of confusions on both sides. And I think for us at the DAI Sustainable Business Group, we often get hired by corporates to try to build the partnerships with you all, and are trying to understand the mindsets, the challenges, the fears that the corporates have, and understanding where maybe there might be disconnect, which is a bit of what we're going to be chatting about. So I wanted to ask, if you all take a look here, the first that pops in when I look here, I see not understanding sectors in full. Can I ask the colleague that wrote that one, would you mind just coming off your microphone and just sharing a little bit? What do you mean by that? We can't see who wrote it. So if I can ask, if you'll be brave enough, the person who wrote not the first box on the first slide, not understanding sectors in full. If you don't mind coming off microphone and just sharing briefly.
You should be able to unmute yourself. Everybody's got the ability to unmute themselves right now. Try again now.
Oh, Sam, good day. It's Ingrid Mhlope from AB4IR in South Africa. What I've come to realize, we are in the ICT sector, but advocating for there to be more SMMEs in the gaming, animation, virtual reality, and drone space. So the moment you try to speak to some of these corporates, they don't understand what the sector is all about. Everyone has this conception as to this is what it means to be in the creative industry, or even in ICT in general. But the moment you come and try and propose and sell yourself, they already have an understanding which is either misaligned or they don't fully understand. Then it becomes that I see it leads to all your trust issues and all of that, because now they are worried it's a new sector. We don't know what you're talking about, or due to certain limitations, they can't then play in that field. But that's what I've come to realize. And this is both in our case, similarly to government. We experience the same issues where they don't fully understand what we are asking from them, whereas the platform is there. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And it's Ingrid?
It's Ingrid.
Great, thank you. Really appreciate that. If I could jump to one more that pops out for me, which also is sort of core to how we're going to have this more detailed discussion around lack of clear value proposition. So can I ask the colleague that wrote that one to come off the microphone and just share a little bit more? What do you mean by that? You're an ESO looking to partner with a corporate, and there's some challenges around that. And you wrote lack of clear value proposition.
Hi everyone, my name is Imi from Uganda. I'm from Mukazipreneur. I wrote that one. So sometimes when we approach these corporate partners, we are not clear about the impact we want to give to the entrepreneurs. Most of the time, it's not clearly defined in our strategy. We are all over the place. Sometimes we are doing what our funders want us to do. So we keep jumping from one place to another.
Great. Thank you, Imi. And Uganda's home away from home for me. So I hope we can connect next time I'm there. So I'm going to jump back here. If we could all go back to the PowerPoint screen. And I'm going to share my screen and we're going to start a little bit more of the detailed discussion here and a bit of the learning. If I could just confirm that you all can see the Zoom slides in full. Yes, Rex, team, you all can see the Zoom slides?
All good. Carry on.
Yep, great. So when we're looking at from the ESO's perspective, and asking ourselves, why do corporates fund entrepreneurship organizations? We look at it both as often a corporate is funding us for some of their development objectives and also for some of their commercial objectives. And the more we're able to really outline this and look at this as a business development process, it also helps us speak their language. And so when we look first at the development objectives, more and more corporates throughout Africa are caring about entrepreneurship, trying to work with startups in different ways, trying to explore ways to engage in the innovation ecosystem. And when we look at it from their perspective of development objectives, it might be that the corporate wants to do that for their sake of being able to share how they're generating jobs. It might be that they're able to, and this might be more from the non-commercial side of their business. So that might be corporate social investment, corporate social responsibility, external relations, government relations, community investment teams. For many larger corporates, there are a number of different non-commercial teams that are looking at what does it mean to be a good neighbor. It might be that they're wanting to support local development in a variety of different ways, to be able to share that also with their government partners and government counterparts, be able to show how they're stimulating local markets, strengthening local supply chains, spurring social change in some ways when it's a particular sector or vertical or topic they want to work in, and different ways in which they frame the concept of supporting new businesses. So the flip side of that is, what are the strategic and commercial objectives of why corporates might be wanting to partner with an ESO? And one of the larger ones that we see is because of their social license to operate. And this is a term, from at least my perspective, is used throughout the continent. Please correct me if I'm wrong, if it's not used as much in your market. But this is being able to understand, why would partnering with an ESO also frame their ability to open doors strategically for their growth objectives? It might be around global branding, stakeholder engagement, employee engagement. We're seeing a lot more of corporates partnering with ESOs, where it allows the corporate staff to also serve as mentors for startups. And that is a way in which there is a different type of engagement that might also be considered a strong, a strategic partnership for you all. Certainly around supplier development, industry competitiveness, access to R&D and market intelligence, and of course, for some aspects of their bottom line. But from the commercial side, what we see is that if a corporate is looking to bring innovation into their business in some way, then partnering with an ESO might offer a wider perspective of opportunities to even understand what might be available in the local ecosystem. And we're going to talk through a little bit some examples here. One that I wanted to highlight is a project that I've had the chance to work on for the last, I guess, almost 10 years now, probably not 9 or 10, 8 or 9 years now since we launched this, the Ghana Cosmos Innovation Center. I'm just wondering, are there any colleagues from Ghana here? I think there may have been, but I could be mistaken. Possibly not. Anyone from West Africa here? I heard South Africa and Uganda. Possibly not. Okay. Well, I don't know if any of you may have heard about the Cosmos Innovation Center. We are now in 3 countries. We're now in Ghana, Senegal, and Mauritania. But the Ghana one is the longest running one and is now one of the larger agri-tech incubators in West Africa. And now we've framed it as a pre-ideation program, sort of an agri-tech challenge for young people, as well as a structured incubator and co-working space, and now an accelerator for the more mature startups coming out of the incubator. I framed this as a glimpse of how we look at partnership for the Cosmos Innovation Center. The project started small. The project started with one corporate funder, Cosmos, which kept the branding, but we began small in how do we look at partnerships. And this means it was not just looking for corporate partners. We were looking for university partners. We were looking for government partners. We were looking for development partners, and certainly some key ministry partners as well. And we're going to go through over the next 45 minutes all the different ways that we were exploring partnerships, some of which then led to funding, but possibly not immediately. We see here larger corporates like Cargill have then become key partners as well as MasterCard. But this certainly did take a few years to build the reputation, to build the value proposition, to build the relationship, to bring in these corporates for different types of events, for different types of activities throughout the life cycle of each cohort, to be able to then start really discussing the possibility of core funding. So for us, we look at building a partnership with a corporate similar to how we look at customer acquisition. You all may know the customer journey or buyer's journey tool. This is something we use when we're training up startups. Maybe many of you all have this as part of your go-to-market strategy trainings or others. It's the concept for a startup. How do you find a new customer? For an ESO as an entity, we look at building a partnership with a corporate very much like a real customer acquisition process. So first we say, if we are looking to build a partnership with several different corporates, at the awareness stage, the company themselves need to be aware of us as an ESO. That means we need to be in the right forums where they even know that we exist. They are aware of what we're working on and that there may be some alignment. So that means trying to understand their sector as well, because I think, Ingrid, this is in a way might be at the core of what you were framing, which is the corporates that you all might be trying to reach out to, if they don't either know you or know your sector and there's not any initial overlap, then what does it mean to start building that awareness for them? When we look at the buyer's journey process, consideration is when a corporate is saying, you know what? We want to invest in innovation. We are actually we're really exploring possibly a partnership with an ESO. We want to work with startups in some ways. We want to be able to talk about innovation and partnerships in the innovation ecosystem in some way. So what does it mean to know that they might be doing some research? For some of the corporates that we work with, and we've had a chance to design ESO programs with corporates in quite a number of different sectors, as I mentioned, banking sector, energy, fast-moving goods, agribusiness. These are multinationals in Africa that are saying, we want to launch a new entrepreneurship and innovation program. Often they may be doing some sort of landscape study. This might be a formal study where they might hire a consulting firm like DAI to actually do that ecosystem mapping, or it might be more informal, whether they're a certain part of their team, their R&D team, their external relations team, their social investment team might be going out and saying, who's out there? And when they do that, your ESO needs to be on their radar. And whether that might mean being able to build some of those relationships to even know, for them to start to get to know you. And then, of course, part of what we're going to go through here is when they make a decision to actually partner with an ESO or partner with several ESOs, they may also be starting small if this is a new type of programming for them. So what can an ESO offer them that might be low cost and low risk for them to begin an actual partnership? I'm going to pause here and ask if there's any questions around how we're starting to talk about building ESO corporate partnerships. Questions? Okay. I'll keep going here. So quite a few of you on the Google Docs said, what does it mean to ensure that that the challenges around value proposition? What we often hear is that an ESO might go to a corporate and ask for money and say, we need sponsorship. And it's framed from the ESO's perspective. Well, when we think of this as a sales opportunity, as a business development opportunity, we know that this is about understanding their value drivers to actually make a decision. So we need to frame from the ESO's perspective, what can we bring to the table? And we list here a bit of how we see strong ESOs in Africa pitching strategically to different corporates, being able to say clearly, we can help you access a pipeline of entrepreneurs. We are a trusted local brand and platform in the innovation and entrepreneur ecosystem in our market that you all could strategically partner with for a variety of reasons. We have a different type of network that you all as a corporate don't have that you might be looking for. And this might be networks with financial institutions, investors, and governments in different ways than maybe the corporate does. It might be that you all are able to bring co-investment from other funders, and that might be something strategic that the corporate is looking for. If there are some of you all that are getting funded by donors, by bilateral or multilateral or foundation philanthropic donors, then being able to say to that donor and that corporate, we are going to be able to get co-funding for the next cohort, that might be in both of their interests, because many of them have to report on how did their funding help leverage other types of funding. There is certainly the ability to say existing entrepreneurship models and approaches that you all offer that may be interesting to the corporate. And that might be that this concept of the innovation mindset or the lean startup methodology that I imagine many of you are all familiar with, this might be what a corporate might be looking for to bring some new ideas and change mindsets and bring new behavior change for different teams within their own corporate that they maybe had never thought of that an ESO could offer. And certainly things like event space, co-working space, and others. I pause here and then want to ask you all, when you're thinking about or have thought about partnerships with corporates, are there others that we might be missing? What do you all say, or what could you think about with all the various ways in which you run your programs, say to a corporate that may be of interest for them to explore a partnership? I'd love one brave colleague to at least share one idea. Is this resonating with you? Is this obvious? Are there ideas here that you hadn't thought of? What am I missing? Let's see here. Demi, can I ask Demi to share? 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 D Demi's still online. Can't unmute. Rex, could we ask that you let them unmute?
They all can unmute. They all have the ability to unmute. Don't be shy, guys. Jump in, give it a try.
Hi, it's Ingrid.
Ingrid, fantastic. Thank you, Ingrid. Go ahead. Let's get a conversation going.
Some of the things that we would usually put on the table is the skill set that we come with as the ESO. This would be in relation to, be it is our mentors, it's the team itself, the employees at AB4IR, or the SMME. So we also include that to say, should we partner, this is what we come with whatever expertise that you may require, in which is in line with our field, we are able to then in return provide you with that. I wanted to add that. Thank you.
Great, great, great. Anyone else? We're all ESOs here looking to possibly partner with corporates. What do you say? What's missing here? Or possibly what you could bring to the table? Demi, were you able to unmute? Asma?
Yes, yeah, sorry, I got it right.
Yes.
Hi. Yeah, I think something small that you mentioned in point 6, co-working space, something that we've really noticed is bringing, entrepreneurs and different teams together in a single space, just the collaboration that happens there. I think that's also, something incredible to offer.
Fantastic. Absolutely agree. And we're going to talk a little bit more detail what we've seen around the continent. Donna. Yes, thank you, Donna. Please go ahead.
Yes, we've also noticed that linking them to the government officials, also key government officials, is very important, as it helps them on a bilateral, government to government kind of relationship, so that they understand that this country is trying to fund or trying to put to support another country in a certain area. So that also does help.
Absolutely. Can I ask which either ministries or departments have you all explored, either you have a strong relationship with, that you might be able to share as a possible engagement when you meet with a corporate? Is that Ministry of ICT? Is it a certain vertical that you all work in?
Yes, particularly I'm from Hive Collab, and we do work with the Ministry of ICT mainly, but also we do work with Ministry of Science, Innovation and Technology as well.
Great.
So both governments, I think we've tried to build relationships with them together with our funders.
Fantastic. So we're going to briefly go through a few ideas here, and this is going to be part of the breakout session that we also do in a little bit. Some of this might be obvious to some of you, and some of this might be new for some of you all. But we tried to say, when we come in to be asked by an ESO to help build some corporate partnerships, what are the various ways in which we can explore partnerships? So we have a list here of about 20 or 25 different ideas that we wanted to briefly go through with you all. And we've broken them into 3 different categories. As you all, as managing directors of ESOs, are saying, how do we frame a value proposition for a possible partnership? We bucket them into non-financial support, core program funding, and consulting and fee for service. And we've noticed that it may be that the last one is possibly newer for some of you, that we want to also dive into a bit of learning as well. So first, non-financial support. This is, we are going to a corporate that might be interested in launching or an entrepreneurship and innovation program, or has some funding available, and we're framing that we would welcome some support that is non-financial, which is often a lot easier and quicker and less risky for them. So some of those might be mentorship, where we are asking the corporate to actually see if they could offer some of their core staff as mentors. And this lets the corporate be able to get to know your ESO more, and the types of possible verticals that you all are working with, the way your program is structured, and get key staff within the ESO just excited to know about your your program. And we've seen this as there's so many ways to do mentorship, and I'm sure many of you all have a variety of ones, from speed mentoring, one-on-one, group mentoring, peer mentoring, distance e-mentoring, reverse mentoring. There's a lot of different ways, right? We're seeing a professionalization of mentor networks for ESOs in Africa as well, which could be, I think there may be even a focus on that on this bootcamp, but that's a full-on sort of learning and tools around how to professionalize your mentor network. But when we're looking for a low-hanging fruit to partner with a corporate, for them to just get to know us, asking for a shorter amount of time that's very structured. A mentorship is often an easy one to begin to build a partnership. The second is guest speakers. So, some ESOs frame mentors and guest speakers and coaches and advisors all within the same bucket. We tend to say the mentor might be doing something that's a bit more ongoing, that's voluntary, that is about supporting the entrepreneur in a certain part of their journey. And a guest speaker might be someone that's coming with a very specific expertise that's running an hour-long session, for example, on something. What we also see is some of those corporates that are looking to possibly have startups as some of their possible future service providers or suppliers, that bringing in the procurement team from the corporate that may not be the one that is often approached first could also be helpful. It might be that we may be going to their CSR or external relations teams, what we're trying to build, but many of these corporates are speaking very different languages depending on the department that you're approaching. The third is serving as a judge during a pitch event. So I imagine many of you do have some form of a pitch event. We know that the pitch event model has been changing quite a lot. There's more and more virtual pitch events. There's ongoing pitch events. There's not necessarily always the one-off large pitch event these days, but being able to frame the ability to say to a corporate, listen, we believe you have certain expertise in a sector that is relevant to many of our startups. If you have a variety of judges, then we see, it could be from Chamber of Commerce, from a key ministry, a university staff, possibly someone from your ESO or the funder, or certainly investors that serve as judges, but also going to a corporate, it's a low-hanging fruit to be able to say to them, could you serve as a judge, and show appreciation for that as a way for them to get to know you and why they should be excited to explore a deeper partnership with you all. The next is inviting the corporates to, whether you all frame this as buyer days, demo days. Sometimes we obviously know that pitch days and demo days go together. Sometimes it's different depending on if we're talking hardware or software, or if we're working with more tech-enabled SMEs. I know there's a variety of different types of ESOs on here on this call, but thinking through the concept of being able to have a larger sponsorship or real corporate funding as part of your operations, what does it mean to build that long-term relationship? That's what this is about. And can it be that you begin by inviting them? And then the flip side is, can you all get invited to their trade shows and their supplier forums? And most importantly, not necessarily just you all as ESO staff, but your startups that may then at least be getting to learn more about the industry if it's one that your startups may have not considered or are exploring new partnerships or exploring new customers in that sector. This offers a two-way street to be able to show a corporate, listen, our ESO can bring some really innovative startups to your trade show and also start to explore some of ways in which diversification, innovation, new customers can happen. Perks is another great one. There is a lot of learning around this. We frame perks as non-cash prizes that ESOs can offer their startups, and we sometimes say SGBs, small and growing businesses, or SMEs. And so this is a way in which we are going to a corporate and asking them if they would like to be engaged with a certain pitch event, for example, or be part of your program for their own various development objectives or commercial objectives, perks are a very low-hanging fruit where corporate often can get excited because it's not very costly for them. We list here some of the different perks that we see ESOs throughout Africa have been able to get from various corporates. It might be that the corporate is able to offer discounted legal services, business services, communication and content, CRM, data analytics, website, email hosting, HR, marketing, cybersecurity. On some of the SME focused and e-commerce types of ESOs we support, we have seen many ESOs be able to go to major transport companies and be able to offer various different types of perks for the top startups coming out of their ESOs. And so thinking through the way in which you're pitching, perks can be a way for that corporate to also be advertising. It's certainly a two-way street for them, but perks allows the corporate to start to build a relationship with you all and with the ESOs, with the startups themselves, of course, but allows you all to start to engage with someone within that corporate and show them that you all are an exciting entrepreneurship and innovation partner for them to explore further partnerships. So I want to pause here. Any questions on non-financial support or any reflections here on non-financial support when we're exploring new partnerships with a corporate? Do these resonate with you all? Have you explored this before? Do you think this might be something, some of these non-financial ways to go to a certain team at a corporate to say, listen, we're an ESO in your ecosystem. We want to explore a partnership. We're not asking for money, but we'd like you all to engage with us in some way. I think we went through 6 or 7 now, non-financial support. How are these resonating with you all? I think I see a hand raised. I don't know if that's an old hand. Donna, is that an old hand or a new hand? Would love it to be a new hand.
Oh yes, it's a new hand. I was just saying, I think for us, I think most of the points you've mentioned, we've been working around those. We've been they do resonate with us, and we've been working along most of the points that you did mention.
Which ones do you have the most success with?
I think being inviting them to be a part of that our events, especially being part of the judging, the panel of judges, also inviting them to our networking events, and also during our sessions inviting some of them to give specific tailored sessions that are particular to our participants or to the innovators. I think mainly those, but also the others as well. We have worked with them with the fund.
Can I ask, for some of the corporates then that you've engaged with and they've offered non-financial support, did that relationship then eventually lead to other types of support from them, including financial support, funding?
Well, some have not really opened up to the financial support, but they have opened up financial support to our entrepreneurs. So basically, we've created a pipeline for them. For example, we have the FSDU, which is I'm from Uganda, so we have FSDU, Financial Sector Deepening Uganda, which
I know it very well. Yes.
So we do work with them a lot, and they come to give tailored specific sessions to our businesses, especially in our accelerator. And so they do pick up a few from here who they do take on. And another one is the Chemonix. Chemonix is a USA project that also has piqued interest, and they also do give tailored sessions. And they've also picked up a few businesses that they are supporting right now.
Great. Eric, I see you made a comment. I appreciate that. Could I ask you to go off mute? Could I just ask where are you from, and what was it about these non-financial which of these non-financial supports most excited you?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Bwana Saki, for that elaborate avenue. So now ASOs can create cooperations with the corporates. And I think for us as a startup in ESOs, I think we appreciate and we want to consider these avenues. I mean these progressive avenues. So now we can develop a relationship with these corporates going forward. As you know, we've just started mentoring our startups in technology and innovation. Nairobi, Kenya. This of an ESO called Innovation Spark Africa, which is an innovation investment company.
Great.
And I think I've learned a lot. We only been thinking of perhaps applying for funding from these corporate institutions, but I'm now realizing that there is a way we can actually develop relationship with these corporates in a more simple and progressive manner. Thank you a lot for that.
Yeah, appreciate. And we're certainly going to share these slides because some of this it's a longer term strategy, right? I think that's what we're getting at. Can you build relationships at first that are non-financial, that then they get to know you and they get excited in different ways? The most exciting is when they get to meet your startups and then you explore from the management side other types of partnerships. So thank you, Eric, for that comment as well. So with that, we're going to jump then to core program funding, which I think in many ways is what might be ideal for many of you all, right? These corporates sitting on all of these much larger funding than any of us. What does it mean, and how do we explore ways to actually be able to access corporates to fund our programming, to really fund the core aspects, our operations of our ESO? So we put this sort of scale here to sort of frame a little bit of when we think about prioritizing our resources. We know as an ESO, we often have not very many staff, and that means we need to be selective with the types of ways in which we are engaging in fundraising efforts, and who within our ESO team is going to be responsible for trying to build these types of relationships, because it takes time to eventually get to a corporate being able to offer core funding. Many corporates will not necessarily put out an RFP or a tender to say, we are looking to fund one ESO, and now you write a proposal. That is really not how corporates are funding innovation ecosystems. It is often through relationship building. It's the smaller engagements that then they start to get to know you more. And then there's ways in which you start to see how a corporate can fund you all. And we have here sort of the relatively lower time and risk for a corporate is on the sponsorship side, or possibly them investing in some of the co-working spaces through fees, which we're going to talk about also. But then some of these others, when we're actually trying to seek grants from them, is there some learning that we can bring when we're trying to actually build a goal to have longer term funding from them? So the three main types of sponsorships that we see corporates invest in for ESOs in Africa: short-term sponsorship, cohort-specific sponsorship, and major ESO sponsorship. So the first, again, is the lower-hanging fruit. This is going to a corporate and seeing if they would be interested in sponsoring one of your events. That is a workshop, it's a conference, it's a hackathon, it's an investor day, it's a pitch competition. You have a very clear way in which you set sponsorship prices. You try to show professionalism in how you're going to a variety of corporates and why they should be excited. You have a clear pricing strategy that you've done your own local market research on, so that it's not asking for a price point that is much larger than any other type of event like this, but that they may be comfortable with. You set different levels, and you get the corporate access to different types of branding space during that event. depending on the price point for their short-term sponsorship. The next, and we see this more and more, is probably the what's the right word? The way in which we can frame a value proposition to a corporate when we know the types of problems that they're trying to solve by bringing in more innovation. And that is through a cohort-specific sponsorship. The example from the Ghana Cosmos Innovation Center, when we worked with Cosmos and we framed this as an agri-tech incubator and accelerator program, then being able to go to Cargill was a very clear way in which we were framing a sponsorship for one cohort, so a full year, that they were willing to first sponsor. And then we've gone to other agribusinesses that are looking to do one-off cohort-specific sponsorships. And I know many of you all may be sector agnostic, but there's certainly some of you that are vertical specific here. And it may be that you're able to go and show them that they are not necessarily funding your overall program, but to say that this particular set of 7, 10, 15 startups that are going through this 6-month program or however long your program is, that you all are offering them a chance to sponsor and then give them access to the startups in different ways, the ways in which they could be excited as a corporate to put in funding for one particular cohort. We've seen quite a lot of success throughout Africa when ESOs are trying to do that as a first chance to really get some corporate funding. And then, of course, there is the major ESO funding. This is when a corporate understands your value proposition, you're getting more and more aligned with whether it is their R&D teams, their innovation teams, their external relations, government relations, social investment teams, and they see multi-year operational funding as part of their broader either development CSR strategies or clearly part of their commercial and innovation strategies. Again, I think some learning is often corporates are not putting out formal RFPs. There's not really any mandates in any way for a corporate to do that. It's very different, of course, than the development and donor world. And so what we've often seen, the learning is this doesn't happen at the beginning. There's often non-financial support that then may turn to short-term sponsorship, that may turn to cohort-specific sponsorship, that then is able to get real buy-in from leadership that may be beyond the country level. If it is a multinational corporation, then it often has to be going all the way up to their Africa or regional teams, or all the way up, if it is a multinational who's based outside of Africa, then up to a higher level to make some decisions for major longer-term sponsorship. And I think, was it, who was the colleague that just mentioned? Was that Donna? I'm getting now names mixed up. Who was just speaking here a minute ago? I think it was Donna. Is that from Uganda? Mentioned the different ways corporates that you've done non-financial support, that have offered non-financial support, their next step that they are often most comfortable with is seed capital to your startups. And we're seeing even some innovations in how to frame the seed capital. Certainly grants are an easy one, where at a pitch event, the corporate gets to say that they put in for a certain prize money. There might be several corporates that put in that prize money for the top startups coming out of your accelerator program. Certainly there's some we're seeing that are willing to put in actual investment, seeing it as an equity investment, or some that are partnering with financial institutions to set up a certain type of revolving fund that allows them to continue to engage in your ESO, since they see value in the types of innovative startups that are coming out of your program. Certainly space rental. I think it may have been Ingrid, apologies, I'm just getting to know you all, that may have mentioned that what we also are seeing is, depending on you all that have a full-on formal co-working space where your startups can stay, what we are seeing is going to a corporate and being able to say to them, we can offer you space rental. That may be one that what we often see is maybe, let's say, one recent one I was visiting is a telecom that was partnering with a ICT focused ESO that wanted to brand a certain part of the co-working space. And they were given a certain number of desks also at the co-working space as a major telecom in the country, where key staff were able to sit there and just be part of that innovation ecosystem that your ESO has, that offers funding for you all, and it's offering a chance for them to engage with your startups in a very different and authentic longer-term way. And certainly some of the lower cost ways might be to rent out your space for different types of corporate events. So I want to pause here now and ask, now we went through a few different ways of exploring corporate partnerships that are offering core program funding, and wondering if any of you all can react to these. Have you all been successful? Do these resonate with you? Are some of these newer ideas that you haven't fully explored just yet? What's some reactions to some of these ideas around how to access core program funding from a corporate? Let's see, maybe someone we haven't heard from. Asma, are you online? Zakaria, like my namesake? Would you like to share? Has your team explored accessing core program
Hello.
funding? Hi,
Hello.
Asma. Yes.
Hello. Yes, I am Asma. I'm from Egypt. Okay.
Great. Where in Egypt is your ESO?
Cairo.
Okay, great.
Do you know Egypt as well?
I do very well, yes.
Yeah. I am from Cairo. I launched a platform for kids to learn them how to code their games. We take coding like a journey, not like a series of courses.
Mhm.
We put or make a curriculum for each different curriculum. First we take from 6 years age and learn them how to code with block coding, with colors and cartoon characters, their games. We learn them how the main concept of coding, then the intermediate ages from 11 to 14 years. We teach them how to write text, professional text, text coding, and translate the block coding they already learned it to text code, professional text code, with problem solving, critical thinking, and we learn them how to make a professional business profile, and we try to get for them internship. Okay.
Asma, if I can ask, has your team explored partnerships with corporates, with companies in Egypt?
Yeah, we try to make a partnership with many corporates. First partnership we make with the Ministry of Yes, okay, to make our coding courses available in the clubs, different clubs, okay. Another partnership we try to make with Nile University. Also, we try to make more partnership with international schools.
Mm-hmm. Great.
We worked for 1 year only.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. Certainly, I know there's a lot of different universities exploring partnerships with ESOs in Egypt. I think in many ways there's probably less corporates that have been exploring. But thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So the third pillar, if we were to say, how do you have a corporate engagement strategy? We talked about non-financial. Is that Eric? Is that a new hand, Eric?
Yeah, Zach.
Yes.
There is just yes. There is this idea of space rental. I don't seem to clearly. Does it mean that when you have a big office, I mean, in company office, then you get the corporates to share with you the office that you have, or how is this dynamic working?
Great question. So at Innovation Spark, do you all have your own space? Do you have a co-working space?
Yeah, at Innovation Spark Africa, we have a Nairobi, but it's a small office. Understand how? Yeah.
Okay. So some of these ideas are not for all ESOs here, but what we see is when an ESO has a co-working space, even if it's, let's say, maybe not a small one, but a medium-sized one, right? Here's this is just, take this photo here, right? Imagine a co-working space, right? What we see some ESOs doing is going to a corporate and offering them a set of perks to be a sponsor for part of the co-working space, where if you can imagine even a particular room within a co-working space that is branded with the corporate, that lets them advertise. It might be that the corporate might be selling some key services that startups might need anyway, but they might also want to engage with innovators in new ways, and sponsoring a co-working space where they may also have access, some of their staff can actually have desks within the co-working space, lets the corporate just engage in the innovation ecosystem in different ways. They're attending some of the pitch events, they're getting to know some of the startups. There's ways in which you make a pitch to a corporate so that they can have access to and brand their own logo, their own corporate within your own co-working space. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. I now understand. Thank
Great.
you so much.
Great. So the last section here is on consulting and fee for service. Excuse me. And this is a third way in which you all can explore going to a corporate and seeing if there's ways in which you can partner. So the first that we talk about is, as an ESO, thinking through what your strengths are and being able to possibly offer some consulting services in different ways that you may not have necessarily thought of as your core strength, but which your team has expertise in ways that the corporate may need. We see various, excuse me, we see various ESOs being the ones that are conducting maybe certain types of market studies, industry briefs, technology trends, pre-feasibility studies, or ecosystem mapping for a corporate. And this goes back to whether it is a certain corporate in a sector that you all are experts on and your startups are experts on, there may be a value proposition to go to corporate that is looking for consulting services that had not necessarily thought of you all as a traditional consulting firm, but you all might be able to do it even better because you're sitting on updated trends and data and knowledge about where the startup space in this particular vertical is going. Another is support with value chain development. And this might be, again, it's an ESO that may not have necessarily, that you all may be running your ESO as an incubator or accelerator program. But if you're working in a particular sector or you're offering a set of core training courses, your ability to mobilize some core startups, entrepreneurs, and SMEs in a certain sector offers you all a comparative advantage for a corporate. Here we have an example of a corporate that may be buying certain, let's take poultry, that they want to start purchasing more locally, and they're right now they're importing. And you all as an ESO are saying there's abilities, your strengths in the types of training and curriculum that you offer, that your trainers offer, may be of interest for them if they're looking to build out part of their value chain. We see ESOs then that maybe are now offering expanded services like training farming cooperatives on business management, whereas they may have been traditionally only training SMEs in an urban setting on business management, but could also start offering that as a way to diversify their revenue streams. Supporting local agro-processors with packaging and logistics, managing revolving fund for traceability, which links to this idea of offering buy local certification. This is one example in the agribusiness space where we're seeing ESOs that may be working in, let's say, the agri-tech space, that then are starting to also expand their consulting services to corporates in new ways beyond the more traditional cohort-based accelerator model. Another link to that is we're seeing in the local content space. Local content across the continent is often defined as government mandates for a multinational corporation that has to be reporting on how many local jobs are created, how many local suppliers they have, and other aspects to showcase the foreign direct investment's impact on the local economy. This began in the oil and gas sector and mining sectors, but are certainly moving to other sectors where local content is being a major regulatory driver for some of the biggest corporates across the continent. We're going to see that more and more with critical minerals and others throughout the continent. And what can ESOs offer? I think that's part of it. Thinking through what you all already do and your strengths to bring a group of entrepreneurs, innovators, and SMEs together, can you explore ways to offer health and safety training for local SMEs that may become suppliers to this corporate, training them to prep for supplier forums to be able to be part of that local content story, training on supply chain management, financial management, HR, ISO compliance, or procurement training. These are all ways in which you all may not have all of the expertise in-house, but you may be able to leverage your training network to bring on other consultants, and you already have the ability and the systems in place to bring a group of entrepreneurs together. So thinking through the ways in which you expand your consulting services, there might be some ideas here to think through depending on the sectors that you all work in. The next is it's one that I'm very excited about. We do quite a bit in this space, is working with corporates on what we call reverse pitches, or sometimes called corporate open innovation challenges. And again, they may have different terminologies in your own ecosystems. But what we hear again and again is corporates often get pitched by startups that are not addressing a specific business need. The startup has come out of one of your accelerators or incubators and is now trying to sell to one of the biggest companies in the country, but doesn't really understand the sector. The flip side is corporates more and more are needing to find ways to innovate. We know that. What does innovation mean? It can mean lots of different ways in which they need to bring innovation into their own operations and their supply chains. So the structure of a reverse pitch, it's called reverse pitch because it's often the corporate is partnering with the ESO, and they are hosting reverse pitch days where there's clear problem statements from the corporate on what their challenges are. The corporate is often then working with the ESO to have a short list of startups that are going through the program trying to solve some of those problems. The corporate is offering mentorship along the way, and there's clear guidance on intellectual property, acquisition, supplier engagement is defined at the beginning so that there's clarity for startups going through this reverse pitch that gets shortlisted. Do they want to be a supplier for this one corporate? Do they want to be a supplier to this sector in general now that they've been shortlisted? But by going through the corporate mentorship process, we're seeing ways in which there's much more successful corporate startup partnerships through a well-designed reverse pitch model. Just some examples here. Here's some. One of the common ones we're seeing more and more is with fast-moving good companies, some of the bigger brands, that they may be looking to solve challenges around plastic waste, for example. Throughout Africa and Asia, we're seeing more and more reverse pitches in the sustainability, environment, climate tech, and related environmental spaces, where the corporates are partnering with ESOs that can bring in, screen, and mentor the right types of startups that may be able to help solve some of their problems with different types of technology solutions. So for those of you that may be new to this, I think it's worth one that you all dive into a little bit more and explore if there might be a value proposition with a corporate that you hadn't fully thought of, because this is a model I think that we're going to see a lot more of. Another one that we're seeing is corporate innovation and entrepreneurship training. This is going to a corporate, recognizing as an ESO that you all are often offering a variety of different trainings and curriculum throughout your boot camps for startups, but that type of, whether it's design thinking, market research, and different types of workshops that you offer your startups, can you sell those as training services to corporates? Another way, and this is also in the local content space we're seeing, is offering entrepreneurship training to corporates when, as part of it, actually an employee transition programs, when the corporates may know that there are layoffs coming, being able to offer ESOs, your ESO training services for them to understand how to become entrepreneurs. So there's a variety of different models we're seeing of how an ESO takes your core bread and butter as a training provider for innovators and brings that to a corporate. So we've only got a few more slides here before we break into the small groups as an activity. But this last section was different ways that you as an ESO can offer consulting services to corporates. And want to know, how is this resonating? Are there some of you that have been exploring this or already offer training and consulting services? Are there any of these ideas that might be new that you all could be excited about exploring? What are some reactions to this third pillar on ESO corporate partnerships focused on offering consulting services, consulting and training services? Let's see. I'm going to read Eric's here, if that's all right. We are currently accelerating 15 innovative startups in Nairobi. Through the session, it's emerging to me that as an ESO, we need to explore creative avenues to harness more support resources from the established corporate entity. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate that. When it comes to this third pillar, are there any of you all that would like to react of what it would mean to explore a partnership that you're basically selling ESO as in a way as a consulting firm? Donna.
Yes. Currently we are offering some trainings to it's a corporate Heifer International. They do organize the agri-tech program challenge. Sorry. I don't know if you've heard about it, the UT challenge, and what we do.
I do. Yeah.
Yes, so we as Hive Collab, we offer the training, we offer the incubation for the startups that have been selected through their program. So that is how we're partnering with them.
And just to confirm, if I know the model, right? So Heifer has been working on rural development and livestock support in Africa for many years, right? You're offering the training for startups that are coming up with solutions that may be bringing technology and digital innovation to the livestock sector in Uganda. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. So they handle the whole, calling process and the whole selection process, and then they bring to us their top 20 that they have selected who are good with the agri-tech, who they think are the best agri-tech, offering the best agri-tech solutions, and then they bring them to us to incubate them. So we incubate them for them.
Great. I think what we're seeing, as you can imagine, some of you may know DAI Global, the consulting firm I work for. We do a lot with USAID and FCDO and some of the big donors. This model where we have a corporate or a group of corporates in a certain sector that may also then be looking to also do some partnerships with a donor that's coming to an ESO to run an incubation or acceleration program is, to me, an absolutely exciting model, because so many challenges with donor funding, the program runs out. Was there really sustainability? Was it just a training program that didn't lead anywhere? When a corporate is brought in, they also know what some of the challenges are. They're trying to then also work with startups to really bring clear solutions to the sector that they know best. So thank you for sharing that model, Donna. To close up here, before we break into small groups, we have here what we call a few tips to build more and better corporate partnerships. You can tell I'm quite passionate about this space. So the first, bridging different worlds. What's the challenge? We know that ESOs, when you all are possibly getting funding from governments, universities, donors, and you're speaking to and working with startups, you may be speaking quite a different language than the corporate. That the corporate may be functioning on a very different time frame than you all, and also not necessarily understanding what the corporate's needs and drivers really are. So what does it mean when we think about bridging these different worlds? I'll put these out here. Oops. It means treating the corporate partnership as a business development process. That means someone should be assigned within your team that's actually, their goal is building that partnership and recognizing that this takes time, which is why hopefully you're seeing a little bit of these different pillars, the non-financial support that may lead to core funding, that may lead to diversified consulting and training services, are all different ways to think through a corporate engagement strategy, not just a one-off goal of getting a little bit of funding from one corporate one time. The next is this whole concept we've been diving into, right? Articulating a value proposition. Sometimes we see ESOs pitching to corporates about what they need. We run this program. This is our program. We're great. We already have this type of funding, and we just think we need funding from you all. How do we reframe that pitch to a corporate that has a shared value proposition? This is about tailoring your pitch to the corporate specific needs. It's also understanding that corporates have many different teams that often are reporting up to different parts of the company with very different funding structures. So again, a CSR team may not talk to the procurement team, that may not talk to the R&D team, that may not talk to the ESG team within a big corporate, and may certainly not be all on the same page or have the same budget structure. And you need to understand who within the corporate you're speaking with to try to pitch a possible type of initial corporate partnership. And I think we're seeing more and more, if you already have strong partners or other partners that are saying, we would happily come in and sponsor something, if you can also bring in a corporate, then there's already synergies as you're going to that corporate in a new way. Financial sustainability. We know ESOs need sustained funding for operations, right? A major, major challenge. Corporates may want to only offer short-term sponsorships, right? The idea of saying, can you fund us for the next 10 years is a hard sell maybe for a corporate that doesn't know you, right? And they may see this initially only as a PR exercise. So what we're framing here, hopefully a little bit, some of the tips and examples we've given here, this idea of starting small, like engaging corporate mentors that offers them a chance to get to know your ESO. So that is sort of the end of our little chat here. And we want to now go into a small breakout session. But before we do that, I want to ask, are there any questions or anything someone wants to share before we break into some small group discussions around all the topics we've gone through here? I'll take the pause here. Actually, can I ask, and Rex, maybe I can ask you, we're at 90 minutes here already. Is it worth taking a break or can we jump right in? What's the energy level like? It's tough to gauge without screens on of whether a break is needed before we go into the small breakouts or not.
Can we see everybody's faces? You cannot put on your screens and let's see how you're looking. You tell us if you want to carry on going or do you need to grab a glass of water or a cup of tea? Who else is on? Raphael, thanks for showing. Eric, nice seeing you. Who else have we got here? Donna, how are you feeling? Ready to keep on going? Emmy, Ingrid? All good?
Continuing. It's so interesting. That's just me.
Brilliant. So I think Ingrid speaking for the group, yeah. We
All
want to
right.
get going. Everyone
So-
cool? Eric, you got a thumbs up? You got to carry on going, man? Raphael? You good? He's ready to go. Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. I think we've got a quorum here. Let's go.
And thank you, Eric. I didn't mention when you said Bwana Zak, my professor at University of Nairobi used to call me Bwana Zak, so I appreciated that. I hadn't heard that in a long time. So for this breakout session, we're going to break you into groups of 3 or 4, and you're going to have a discussion. And what the next slide is here is a little bit of an activity where we're putting you all in the idea of how do we build a corporate partnership? And we want you all to be creative with this activity. We're going to give you 15 minutes in small groups to do a bit of brainstorming. So the scenario is, in your group, your team has been running an ESO for the past 2 years. You offer 5-month support to 10 to 15 startups per cohort. You run 2 pitch events per year. And the program has been sector agnostic, working with entrepreneurs from various sectors, but you have considered doing sector specific, or what we say vertical specific trainings and support to startups. You've mostly been funded by donor and local government grants. So that's the scenario. Are we clear on the scenario? I need a thumbs up here. So in groups of 3 or 4, you're going to be building out. This is you're an ESO together in the group for the next 15 minutes, okay? And hopefully this structure is similar to many of you all here on this call. So the activity is your team assignment. You are looking to build a corporate partnership. So select one of the corporates here on the right-hand side and brainstorm a strategy and pitch on how you would build a new partnership. You want to frame your value proposition clearly. You want to be creative. You want to assign a scribe to take notes on your team. And you want to be ready in 15 minutes from now to give a 1-minute pitch about how you're going to build a possible corporate partnership. So the 1-minute pitch is assuming that I am a representative from the corporate. So you're also thinking about which team, which within the corporate are you pitching to? Who am I? And I think we may hopefully know most of these 4 brands. Olam, one of the largest agribusinesses on the continent, right? They do a lot both on the input supply as well as off-taker and processing and export sides. Barclays, financial services, Chevron, of course, in the oil and gas sector, but also expanding into new energies, energy transition, and MTN as a major telecom, right? So think of this as you're an ESO, you're choosing one of these corporates for a certain reason. You're thinking about which team, within the corporate you're going to be pitching to, and then think through what is your value proposition and why should I, as a representative from that corporate, consider partnering with your ESO. So we'll be sharing this also in the breakout session, in the breakout groups for yourselves. I'll be coming around to the different breakout groups, but are there any questions about your brainstorming and about this activity? Hopefully it's pretty clear. We want you all to be creative. Take some learning. We thought about 3 different pillars There's many different ways. We went through 20 plus different ways to partner with a corporate. Hopefully some of them are maybe new or resonate with you, okay? So there's no further questions. We're going to break you all into groups, and you're going to come back here in 15 minutes. So I will ask Rex with, I don't know, I think there's probably 10 to 12. So if we can do maybe 3 to 4 groups.
I think we probably only need 3 at the max.
3, I think 3. Sure, sounds good.
Cool. Okay, creating them now. Oh,
we'll see you all in 15 minutes.
Let's see. I've got the right people in the right groups. Oh, Akeem, you and okay, I'm going to move everyone around. I think we might only need 2 rooms here as Akeem,
sure.
Because there's less people. Okay, let's just move some people across. So Kim, you want to stay on this here, or do you want to go across? You're going to stay here. Cool. Okay, opening our rooms. Gracious. All right, they're jumping across. Emmy, please jump over. You're going into room 1. You have to accept that. There we go. All right.
I think it's just us 2 then in the room.
Yeah, that's cool. So shall we jump across into one of the rooms, or what should we do? Yeah.
I'm going to broadcast quickly here the assignment again. That's one broadcast, and then second broadcast.
Okay. All right. Do you want to join room 1 and I'll join room 2?
Sure. Just a question, Rex. How's it going? Is this working?
Yeah, it's going great, man. I think yeah, people are keen and interested. It's great. So I think they seem to be jumping across to things. So seems good.
Great. Sure. I'll start. I'll jump between the 2. I think because I'm co-host, I can jump between the groups easily.
You can jump between. Yeah.
No, I'll start with 1 just to check.
Okay.
Actually, I like giving just a minute, so then they're kind of chatting amongst
themselves. Let them do that. They do. Yeah.
my facilitator in me likes the silence, likes them to struggle on something.
Yeah, let people talk. Yeah, it's cool.
But hopefully you can tell. I love working with ESOs and the stage where they're at. It seems like they're open. Obviously, if it's the largest accelerator in the country, I don't think they need. They're the ones that are showcasing globally what they're doing. I don't think they need support from someone like me. So I like working with kind of smaller, scrappier ESOs, trying to also figure out how to keep growing their program. So
awesome.
Great. I will jump into room 1, and then I'll join 2 in just a minute.
Okay, I'm staying across there now.
Cheers. Welcome back, everyone. We know in all workshop settings, some of the best group discussion happens just towards the end, but hope you all got a chance to do at least a little bit of brainstorming around some of these ideas. Could I ask that everyone turn on their videos for the last 8 minutes of our chat here? Thank you, Raphael. And is it Saber?
Yeah, Saber, yeah.
Saber. All right. Thank you. A few others. Okay.
Nice to meet
So
you.
great. So we've only got 2 groups. What I'm going to ask is, can one group volunteer to start, to do a pitch? Which group would like to start? Okay, thank you, Donna.
I believe
So,
Donna should do. Yeah.
okay, so Donna, can I ask, which corporate are you pitching to?
We are pitching to a Barclays Bank.
You're pitching to Barclays. Okay, great. And
Yeah.
who within Barclays Bank? Who am I? Which department within Barclays am I part of?
You're part of the corporate. You're part of the CSR and partnerships department.
Great. Okay, so you're doing a 1-minute pitch. Your team, whether it's just you or your team, let's hear. You know, it's a real elevator pitch. I'm just getting to know you. You all know Barclays, and I don't know your ESO too well, and you're trying to explore a partnership with us. Please begin.
Okay. Thank you so much. So we've been sector agnostic, and currently we are trying to go sector specific. Our ESO is called Rasado. And Rasado is now specifically targeting the fintechs. So we are a fintech. We are a fintech accelerator incubator, stock incubator. So currently we are seeking to get support from Barclays Bank, and some of the partnerships we would like to engage in. Would like to have guest speakers to some of our events. That is either your MD or your head of partnerships to come and speak to some of our events. Then we would also like to have some of the your employees who are in charge of our audit and maybe retail to come and speak to some of our businesses in the financial businesses, and during their sessions, during their boot camps, to come and give tailored sessions. Then we'd also like to give you a space in our office whereby you can have one of your credit officers sitting there and maybe open up accounts for some of our fintechs. But at the same time, in return, we would also like to get some branding for our office from your office. But we also would like to get some monetary support in terms of supporting some of our events. That is, we have our challenge. We have a fintech challenge that is organized annually, and we would like you to support it. We would also want to have some long-term partnerships whereby we would like to see trainings. We would like to train some of your staff, your employees, especially who are in the particular sector, particular departments. We would like to train them because we are very good at, some of procurement trainings. We offer those very well. So we would like to train your employees. At the same time, we would also like to offer trainings to any of your communities out there in the fintech or in the financial sector. For example, we very well know you work with a lot of farmers and who don't know about financial services. So we would like to offer those tailored specific financial services to your communities in our space. We would also offer you space. In return, we would also offer you space. If you don't have where to train from these people, we would offer you space while you can also maybe offer us some funding or long-term relationship with the bank. And we get tailored and customized services to our businesses. Finally, we would also like to get mentors from your bank, because we do understand that the bank, this is your area, this is your core function, finance is your core function, and we believe that if we get financial mentors from the bank to support our startups, it would be a very, very good a good platform for our banks to and for our enterprises or businesses to unlock more funding from the donors or development partners out there or grants out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Donna. All right, great. I won't give feedback just right now, but appreciate great work. Really incredible brainstorming within just a few minutes of your team. Could I ask the other team who is presenting from the other team?
I think what is the name? Muhobe, please. Muhobe, you can represent us, please.
Okay, no, thank you.
Right.
I'll just be taking this one from, just a disclaimer, within our team, 1% dropped. The other lady, I think she's here, Asma, we may have been having difficulties on language. I'm not quite sure. So I just wanted to add that in case it sounds like we may have left someone out.
Great. And
Okay.
Ingrid, which corporate are you pitching to?
We are pitching to Barclays as well.
Also pitching to Barclays. Okay, great.
Yes.
All right. And
Just
who
like-
within Barclays? Who am I? Which team within Barclays are you doing a pitch to?
We had not thought that far. But mostly it would be either your ESDs or your CSI.
Great. So let's try to make it a tight 1-minute pitch, and let's
Me-
hear from you. Please begin.
I'll be reading it through because we took an exercise where we were writing it down. So good day. We are from AIIE ESO, which is an organization that supports small businesses and entrepreneurs in mixed sectors in developing the skills and networks they need to thrive. We are organizing an annual 2-day summit, which is an SMM East conference rather, complete with an exhibition that's bringing together over 200 small and medium enterprises, industry leaders, stakeholders, and we will also be having panel discussions, master classes within the event that we'll be hosting. The event will be giving SMMEs the platform to showcase their businesses, connect with potential partners, and gain practical insights for growth. Would love to partner with Barclays Bank as our sponsor. In return, Barclays will receive premium brand visibility, opportunities to engage directly with promising entrepreneurs, speaking opportunities, and a chance to highlight your ongoing support for SMMEs and economic development in its entirety. Your involvement will position Barclays as a key enabler of innovation and growth for small businesses across the region. We'd be thrilled to chat about how we can make this partnership impactful for everyone involved and ensure that it's a mutual beneficial relationship. Thank you for considering this opportunity. That is us from ESO. Thank you.
Round of applause to Ingrid as well. Fantastic. Thank you, Ingrid. I think I want to hire you for my sales and marketing, Ingrid. That was a very tight pitch. Really great job in such a short amount of time. So I'm cognizant that we are just at time. So let me just say, hopefully this last couple hours was a chance to just start this brainstorming, right? Obviously, Donna, you took an approach to think through with a corporate. There are so many different ways that a corporate can engage, right? So hopefully that there's a way in which you can think through an engagement if you're able to get meetings with corporates to show there's a lot of different ways. For your team, Donna, you might want to think about, it might be possibly a little overwhelming if you're going through a long list, if it's the initial time that they're meeting with you, right? But there's ways in which you can think through how do you explore a few different partnerships to get started. But it was great to see, Donna, your team think through so many different ways, right? That's the goal of this, to hopefully frame to you all, there are many ways with corporates in different sectors. They are looking for you all to partner. They need you all and all of what you can bring. And of course, Ingrid, you took a very specific approach. It was very clear to say it's one event. It's a very clear offering. And this may be, if it's the first time, maybe that's the first chance. It's a low risk for them. And that might then be able to build that relationship. And then you might be doing a longer type of pitch like the one that Donna did that offers other ways for them to work with you after maybe they've sponsored one event. So great job to kind of see different ways to start to engage. On that note, I'll say thank you all. I do believe Rex and the team will be sharing some of these slides. The last slide in the deck does have my contact information. I love keeping in touch. I support a number of different ESOs throughout Africa, as you guys can probably tell. And I believe you all are doing some of the most important work to support startups and innovators throughout the continent. So I'm humbled to be able to just get to work with you all and learn from you all. And I hope you all were able to take something from this session. So thank you.
Our pleasure, Edward. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Zaki. That was really great. Yeah, different sessions. Thanks for hanging in and joining. Donna, thanks for staying with us. It was great to have you involved. And everyone, yeah, have a wonderful weekend. Wishing you really a great time and get some relaxation. And I know I don't have any. I'm working tomorrow, and most of my team are. So we're putting an event together, so we know the trials and tribulations of doing all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, Zaki, thank you very much for your time, man. It was a great session. And yeah, looking forward to doing more of these with you in the future.